The 90s are back. Kids nowadays, they want to dress like we did, they want to act like we did, they want to even listen to the same songs that we did. They do not want the doom of just not having a phone around all the time and being left alone with their thoughts, but yeah, I don't want that too, not anymore. But yeah, they do want to listen to the same songs that we listened to back in the day. So me, being a punk rock kid from the 90s, I decided to make a top 10 list of my favorite punk rock albums from the 90s. That's my train. Please keep in mind that some pop punk songs and some ska punk songs might also get in this list, so please don't fight in the comments. It's all good, okay? Alright, let's get into it. Number 10, Dude Ranch by Blink-182. We cannot not start with my favorite band, right? This album has all the signs of what Blink-182 would become one day. Simple songs, sketchy melodies, stupid jokes, everything was already there. It was just kind of poorly recorded, but it still was great. In there we have Damn It, of course, probably the most famous song in that album. But my favorite one, I would say, is either Voyeur, Pathetic, or Dick Lips. Number 9, Pennywise by Pennywise. This album was the literal description of how punk rock albums sounded in the 90s. Raw, fast, aggressive, and imperfect. That's why it was so cool. It really is a kind of sound that's never gonna come back in today's music industry. Never. Favorite song is the first song. Wouldn't it be nice? Number 8, Milli Calling, Life on a Plate. What I always liked about Milli Calling is that they were never afraid to be kind of weird and kind of different. They were okay being more poppy sometimes, being more ska sometimes. They just went for it. And Nicola's voice is truly one of the most original voices in that era. Maybe it's the Swedish accent, but I don't know. My favorite one from that album is Bullion. Bullion. That one. Number 7, Phoenix TX by Phoenix TX. This one is gonna be controversial, right? Well, they were a Blink-182 sounding band in a Blink-182 era. Not very original. Their second album, actually, Lechuza from the 2000s, is way better. But I was just a kid and I liked it, so it's in my list. My favorite song from that album is All My Fault. Number 6, I gotta read this one, just one second. No Effects, So Long, and Thanks for All the Shoes. That's a long ass name for an album, No Effects. But cool, this album is amazing. The songs are so short and so to the point, but they all still feel like full songs, you know, they're not sacrificing anything. And that's what punk rock is for me. Punk rock is making really fast songs under 2 minutes, but not sacrificing on it actually being a real full-fledged song, you know? Unlike the new stuff that we use as background music on TikTok nowadays. My favorite song on that album is, of course, It's My Job to Keep Punk Rock Elite. Perfect punk rock song. Number 5, Stranger Than Fiction by Bad Religion. It was really hard to choose one Bad Religion album from the 90s for this list, because I think I actually have a favorite song on each of their 90s albums. But listening to all of them side by side, for some reason I like the production on this album more. It's really clean for a punk rock album of that era, but still has the energy and all the power, you know? They managed to maintain it, even though the recordings are really clean. My favorite song is the Guitar Hero classic, Infected. Number 4, Destruction by Definition by the Suicide Machines. I honestly think this is my favorite ska punk album of all time. The drumming is crazy good, the bass is so fast. I just love it. My favorite song is The Real You. Listen to it, so good. Number 3, and this is gonna be controversial, Dookie by Green Day. Fly even came into my eye while I said that, so controversial. I know, a lot of you will say this should be number 1. Probably Dookie was the most impactful punk rock album of the 90s. But this is my list. Strength was, and it still is, the songwriting. Green Day are great songwriters. All of the songs in that album are perfectly written, to be honest. I wish I wrote all of them. Although my favorite one is Longview, for sure. My number 2 is, of course, Americana by The Offspring. I actually have an emotional attachment to that album. That was the first punk rock album that I've ever listened to in its entirety. And I actually just accidentally got it from a friend on a Secret Santa party at school. I don't know why he gave me that album. I never told anyone that I liked punk rock. I didn't like punk rock, so I don't know why, but he gave me that album. And I'm still thankful today. Because honestly, not to quote Offspring, but I was amazed. Since the first song, everything is so aggressive, so pointy, you know, the guitars are so cutting through the mixes. It's just amazing, amazing. And Dexter just sings so high, and his voice is so different from any other punk rock singer that ever existed. And even though everything was so screamy and aggressive and pointy, it was still so poppy at the same time, so catchy. Offspring always had that ability to maintain things catchy. They're good songwriters as well. And I also love that sometimes they leave space for jokey songs like Pretty Fly for a White Guy or Why Don't You Just Get a Job. Like, these songs are awesome. They're silly, but they're awesome. And sometimes punk rock has to be a little bit silly, right? But my favorite song on that album is the title song, Americana. All right, let's finish this off with you in between my legs, because this has been an intimate list. My number one is, of course, Enema of the State by Blink-182. My list has come full circle. And of course, I'm a Tom DeLonge fanboy, so he has to be number one. This album is the culmination of all the popification that punk rock was going through in the 90s. And it was totally not afraid to be lighthearted, poppy, and mainstream. And because they were not afraid to go super mainstream and super produce this album, they kind of created the best sounding pop-punk album from the 90s. It's the gold standard. It's what every other band tried to sound like after that. Everything was so clean, so tight, so in tune. There was really never a punk pop album or a pop-punk album like that before. And my favorite song is, of course, all of these songs, besides All the Small Things. Nobody really likes All the Small Things, right? It was just a bait. It was just a bait for the normies to come in and start listening to some pop punk, right? We all know it. So yeah, I couldn't have started or finished this list any other way. But what about you? What would be your top 10 90s pop punk, punk rock, ska punk albums? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like what I do, please, I'm out in public saying this, but please press all the buttons around me out there in this world that help me right now. And see you all next time. Thank you and bye.